Hello and welcome everybody to the July 2026 ONINO community update. It's been a couple now. We started the first, I think, end of 2021, the beginning of 2022. So it has been some time. Very warm welcome. Thank you very much for listening in live or later on. And hope it's going to be a good one again.
Hi everyone, welcome. So good to have you all here for our July community update.
Hello everyone, also warm welcome from my side. Looking forward to this month's update and also to all your questions later on.
Hey all, also warm welcome from my side. We hope that you have had a great summer so far and are looking forward to sharing the latest updates with you guys.
So we're gonna wait for a little bit for everyone to join in.
All right, I think we can give it a go. I hope everyone that wants to listen is already there.
Okay, all right, so first things first, how is everyone surviving this heat? Europe has been absolutely melting the last couple of weeks. Funnily enough, I'm calling from South Africa, where it's the middle of winter, so I'm bundled up in a nice sweater while the rest of you are melting, maybe. But wherever you're tuning from, if you are in the European heat, I hope you found a shady spot, a fan, or at least a cool drink. Please stay hydrated out there, seriously. I'm joined today by Alex, Lucas, and Kai, and we've got a genuinely packed update for you. White label platforms, some client insights, partnership, and a blockchain update to finish. Lots to get through, so let's jump in. Alex, I'll hand it over to you to kick us off.
Perfect, Christina, thank you very much. Yeah, as you said, White Label Momentum is a very good title. We have 8 live white label platforms at the moment now, and it's really nice because the strategy has always been to build individual platforms for existing ecosystems, investor groups, local initiatives, or even thematical initiatives. So if people invest in something very specific, it's amazing for ONINO to be the backbone of so many technologies or communities already. And we're building more and more, and the long-term vision is also very interesting because on one hand, we're building individual platforms, but in the long term, there's going to be some elements to reconnect them as well. Not going to go into too much detail for that, but those are very strategically interesting initiatives that we're taking at the moment with partners and also technically building them out. But I don't want to spoiler too much. But yeah, we're seeing a steady continued growth in the partners building our stack as well, and building on our stack and building with our stacks. On one hand, customers using the ONINO platform, then partners that are kind of intermediaries or multiplicators that are distributing our solution, but also partners that we have integrated into the platform, like registers, like KYC providers, like payment providers, secondary markets, etc. And it's really nice because each platform really taps into new markets and expands the reach, but also the functionality, because every partner, every customer needs a little adaptation. And this makes the platform that is already modular become even more sophisticated in supporting more and more different regulations, features, functionalities. So it's going in a really good direction. So the white label momentum is strong. Yeah, and there's one thing I specifically want to talk about. It's another successful launch of our banking client. And there has been one successful go live with our banking client, I think 2 weeks ago now. They did a quite substantial amount of money in less than 2 days, fully funded the project without any technical hiccups or problems. Kai is going to go later into that a little more deeply because there's been a lot of work behind the scenes to make this launch successful. It's really nice to see it work, to have this very regional project also be financed very successfully. And yeah, this is really a proof of the functionality of the platform, the speed of the platform, but also our clients' capabilities. because we really just are laying back in our seats, not really, but kind of, and providing them the platform, and they're doing the work. That's really, really nice to see, and that's exactly what we want to see, because our capabilities are creating this amazing tokenized financing platform, and their capabilities are bringing investors, bring projects to the table, and using our platform to structure it. And this is how great things happen, if everyone does the thing that they do best, and lets the others do the rest. So it's a very successful partnership for us, and it's only just the start. And yeah, just in general, to give you kind of an outlook on the demand, we have a lot of interest via partners, what I meant, the multiplicators that recommend us and the solution, but also organic website inquiries, which is a great thing because we don't even run ads or anything, because we don't need to. There's a lot of demand just through people looking for solutions like ONINO in AI searches on Google, finding a website, and then reaching out to us with the need for a solution. Then, of course, it's B2B finance product, so it has very long sales cycles for the ones that know what I'm talking about, which means essentially you're going to talk to many people, and it's going to take a very long time to sell to not too many people. But that's what it is. And I think in this world, we are doing a very good job. But of course, it takes time, but we're seeing great traction and out of the ordinary numbers for what we're doing. So we see that we're doing at least something very correctly. So we're going in a very good direction. And we also have a very strong word of mouth connection where many new qualified leads and customers talk to each other, recommend ONINO, partners as well. And yeah, the traction that lies ahead is really converting the pipeline, onboarding new platforms, and creating a whole ecosystem of platforms together, where individual platforms, the blockchain, the tokens, and much more, a couple of things that we'll announce later in the next coming months, will play a big role and essentially make from ONINO not just one product, but create a whole ecosystem of things that work together, go hand in hand. And yeah, it's very exciting future. Things are being laid out step by step, and we're going into a very good direction.
Amazing. Thank you, Alex, for the update. And I have to add that banking client win, Alex, that just mentioned. We may or may not have thrown a tiny party in the office to celebrate. Good vibes all around, and truly a nice reminder of why we do this. Okay, from growth to the partners powering it. Lucas, over to you.
Yes. So Alex already touched upon it. And if you've been following us closely, you know that partnerships are a big foundation of how we build the ONINO ecosystem. Not only because you can kind of access a big network through one partner, but also because at the end of the day, we are financial infrastructure providers. And the financing industry is really, even though there's new technology, there's blockchain, there are agentic systems coming up left and right, the industry in its core is all built on trust. And trust is something that you can not easily, but you can build up over time a lot through partnerships. So, for example, in the last few months, we announced a partnership with Black Manta Capital, and we are now working more closely with two other securities institutions. So institutions that have the licenses to distribute securities within all over Europe. And we are really doubling down on these regulatory providers, as well as also our partnerships with registry providers. There are registry providers in Germany, such as Cashlink, or Njala is also one, that essentially provide more sophisticated infrastructure for bigger regulated financial instruments. And every single one of these partners will play a key role in how we grow the ONINO ecosystem. Also, we are working with more interesting and future-oriented integrations. For example, one of them is that we just recently started to get in touch and work towards is with C7. That is a direct partner of the Canton network. And I don't want to open up too many big dreams at the moment, but we see that as a very, very interesting strategic initiative because they are direct partner of the Canton network. And everyone that knows, so maybe if you perform some research, the Canton network is a privacy-focused network that is built with the biggest financial institutions in the world as backers. And we are now looking to create our entry point as ONINO, not only for our white label service, but everything that the ONINO net ecosystem entails, which is another big avenue where we just get to the right partners and put our solution in front of the right people. So our partner network is and remains one of the biggest initiatives we have at ONINO to get us out there. Then, when we have partnerships and those partnerships bring new leads, of course, the platform in itself, and while it is a digital web app essentially, the true value lies under the hood, and that still has to grow day by day, essentially. And we really improved more and more how and which asset classes we support. So while it does not read like much on that slide, for example, you have to think about what it takes to support like a fund-like structure, a single and multi-asset special purpose vehicles, so one legal entity that invests in multiple different deals, and also the different ways how you can issue a bond, because it's not only implementing it from a platform standpoint, so that I as an issuer or you as a user can set up this asset class, but also how it is tokenized on our blockchain, and also how it is structured legally, that you have real actual ownership through the token, something that sounds easy when you say it, but gets very complex. And we are daily improving the support for asset classes. And these are the asset classes that we now added to our support list, which opens up even more avenues for partnerships and clients if we can support more assets, because every financial operation runs on a different asset, and we are improving daily on that front, which is great. And a huge props to our dev team at the end of the day. And then lastly, while we have quite a few platforms live, we are, of course, never stopping the onboarding. And one that is currently a real test for our compliance infrastructure, and where every test so far was successful, so we're doing a great job, is the onboarding of a new client, and they operate as an MTF, a multilateral trading facility, so real European regulated infrastructure that we will be able to announce, I guess, in the public go live around September. And we are handling, or our infrastructure is handling, the full primary market issuance. Essentially, you can think of it like an ICO. There's a spot where you can buy the token directly from the company issuing it, and then you can later trade it on a secondary market. And we're currently now focusing really on the primary market, and all their assets are directly tokenized from day one. So that is a big client that you can be excited about once we release it. And it is keeping us busy at the moment because it's such a fascinating use case.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Lucas. There's a lot happening on the partnerships and product side. Now for my favorite part of these updates, the tech. Kai, take it away.
Thank you so much, Christina. So as always, we also want to give you a quick glimpse behind the scenes, what has been happening in the ONINO development team in the last 4 weeks. So first of all, as Alex and Lucas have already teased a little bit, also our dev team has been working hard to ensure that the launch of our first banking level client white label goes as smooth as possible. And I think I'm not bragging if I'm saying that this went definitely very smooth and there were no complaints. The issuance was filled in under 48 hours and there were no problems during the subscription process whether people invested whatsoever. We have also been, of course, during launch supporting our banking client with a, I would say, white glove service. We helped them with customer support when customers had questions, for example, or had, for example, trouble resetting their emails. It can only already start with that sometimes. Also, starting from this customer support over, for example, scaling up our servers to ensure that they can basically endure the massive run that comes when a new platform launches. From A to Z, there were a lot of to-dos for the dev team. We had all hands full to do, and it went awesomely great, I think. And we're also from a technical perspective very happy with how our launch with the client has went so far. And with that, I want to also dive a bit more on the next slide into what else we have been working on. While I try to keep it not too technical, I want to give you a bit of a deep dive and rather on an architectural level, what we have been working on the blockchain side of things. So we have been working basically on a new and I think quite innovative smart minting architecture, how we call it. And I want to give you a bit of a background how, for example, the minting process usually works, right? So as you know, you invest on a platform like ONINO, for example. You pay for your investment, and in the end, of course, you want to also have your tokens, right? So they have to be minted to your wallet. And a simple approach that you can take to this minting process would be that some rather naive solutions also take would be you just wait until the fundraise is closed. In Web3 language, you would say until the hard cap is reached, so to say. And then in the end, the issuer of the token does a single manual batch mint, right? So we say, for example, okay, we just wait until everything is fully funded. No tokens left to buy. And then once this is all done, we just settle all mints in one place. But that has several drawbacks. First of all, there's a lot of manual work for the issuer, right? Because you just have to go into the dashboard of whatever application you're using and then have to do all of this minting in your own wallet, let alone speaking of multi-sig, which makes it even more complicated. And second, on the other side of the table, that also brings a lot of less trust for the investor, right? Since you don't receive your token immediately. Especially in a tokenized security space, it can very well be that a fundraise goes over, for example, a few months, up to half a year, for example. So basically, you would have to wait all this time until the fundraise is finally closed, until you would have your tokens visibly in your wallet, right? Also from an investor perspective, this is not quite great of a solution. So the other way how you could do it is, you could just go ahead and say, hey, right after the investor's payment has completed, so we know that he's basically done, we just have some kind of wallet or private key that has a role that it can do that, and it automatically mints the tokens to the investor, right? So it sounds quite logical, sounds quite simple. Why would you not do it like that? That has quite a big problem because just having a single wallet or private key that has an unbounded authority to mint tokens is an actual nightmare from both a compliance and also from an IT security perspective. So you can't do that, right? So what do? We have come up with quite a good solution, in my opinion. And the idea is actually relatively simple. Namely, the minter is not a single private key that can be compromised, it can be leaked, and somebody can mint unlimited tokens. But it's a smart contract that can be triggered by the said payment has been received event, right? And this smart contract is not in the situation that it can do unlimited minting of tokens, which would be, as I mentioned, a compliance nightmare. But it just has bounded minting authority and can only auto-mint a certain number of tokens up to a daily upper boundary that the issuer can define, right? And once that limit has been reached, for example, if there's a lot of rush, a lot of people are investing at once. If, for example, for whatever reason, the smart contract or the private key controlling smart contract would be compromised, then a human in the loop has to manually approve any further mints on chain, right? So the idea is basically, on the one hand, you keep the convenience and the speed of having an automated mint system, while on the other hand, limiting it and making it more secure by adding a boundary with a human in the loop. To sum it up, you have kind of a very limited blast radius in case of a private key compromise, and yet you have a great investor experience, as in the most cases, and when you have a normal investment process, then the tokens will land on the wallet almost immediately. And on the third leg, you also have zero to very few effort needed by the issuer. So you see, this is quite a sophisticated new architecture from a blockchain perspective we have been working on the last 4 weeks. To be honest, it was actually fun to implement that, with a lot of new smart contracts involved, testing them on ONINO, implementing it with our application, and then in the end tying that all together with a great UI for our issuers to interact with these new smart contracts. So that was a major milestone of our work in the last 4 weeks. And I think this is a great new standalone feature for ONINO that poses us as a very mature and secure tokenization solution. I know this was quite technical, so on the next slide, we're going to go with something that is a bit more visual to comprehend. We have also worked on a new integration So now, from now on, if a platform operator decides to configure that, you can pay on any ONINO Power platform with CoinGate. And CoinGate you can think of kind of like the Stripe of crypto. So you can super easily pay for your investment with basically any crypto currency on any chain out there. So it's a very smooth user experience. It is secure, it is trusted and well established. So from now on, as I mentioned, payments for your tokenized investments with crypto is possible on almost any chain and currency. And a little spoiler on that front, while I can't tell too much yet, we're also working with them together on an integration of our own coin, basically into CoinGuide, and see how we could proceed with something like that. So it might be that in the near future we have some very exciting news on that front. But yeah, with that we had 3 different updates from 3 different perspectives: one's operations, one's architecture, and one's integrations from the ONINO dev team. I hope you liked them. And as always, if you have any more questions on the tech behind the scenes, we're always more than happy to answer that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kai. And that's a wrap for this month. Thank you all so much for being here, especially in this heat. Genuinely appreciate you spending some of your day with us. And a big thank you to Alex, Lucas, and Kai for walking us through everything. Drop any questions in the Discord general, and I'll stick around to answer them. Until next month, guys, stay cool, stay hydrated, and take care. See you soon.
Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. See you next month.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. And also thank you to Christina for walking us through this update. And let us know any questions you have. Looking already forward to next month.
And I can only follow up on this. Thank you all for joining during these heated times. Have a wonderful summer. Thank you, Christina, for moderation. And yeah, we hope you all have a great July and see you next month.